Anyways, let's try this again. Internet should be good, but I will monitor it, I suppose, as I am streaming. I think I saw more of these picks, didn't I? Yeah, I saw these picks as well. Internet looks completely fine. Hopefully it stays that way. Also, I think I am going to go mid if I'm solo queuing right now. Just in case. Fuck, at the same time, I just want to play solo. Whatever. It's gonna be hard as a carry probably, but I just want to play solo. Morrigan, Agni, Thor, and what else? Mercury, okay. Taking out some high mobility junglers. Where did the teams go? I need to see the teams at all times, otherwise I'll just forget who's on them. I can't put faces on them. I never met these boys. The majority of them, anyway. At least in this game, I don't think I've. Well, actually, I guess I've kind of. Actually, was Snoopy at the launch tournament? I forgot. I know how Snoopy looks, though. Morgan Le Fay and Arthur. Okay. That makes sense. Man, King Arthur would be a menace right now. He would be so good with all the health items, like Yogi's, not to mention Phoenix Shield and stuff. He definitely would be good in Smite 2 right now, I think. Alright. Oh, it looks like they're... Okay, cool. Their game got dodged. I'm actually in the good queue, then. Somehow I am first pick, though. That is not ideal. Not ideal, I say.
Select your god.
Apollo.
Apollo. How doesn't Apollo have any good skins yet? Fucking hell. Where are my Apollo skins at? I want to try a new build on Apollo. We'll see if I may get the chance to actually utilize it. Kamasat's another character that will probably be really OP in Smite 2. He's just one of another one of those characters where if you don't have Aegis, it's gonna feel really rough to deal with. You took my spot in the queues? My bad, bro. Are you sure it was me? Because I'm top pick here for some reason. And I'm pretty sure that both Adapting and VVS have higher SR than me. So it's kind of fucked up. But I guess no one else is playing, so... Oh, Viva's left? Oh shit. Maybe I'll just yoink Adapting then after this. I didn't realize. I looked, saw that he was with Vives, and I was like, alright, I'll just still look you then. Right, skip the fluff here. Was KA bad in this tournament? I remember him being really OP in the beginning of season 11, at least. I had to play him. Like I had to learn him because of the time when I came back to Smite. He was just so hard, like OP at the time. I forgot what item it was. It was Stoner Gaia. Stoner Gaia was really powerful, and so you could just ability spam because you never ran out of mana. So he was just really powerful in solo. He's the one playing it at the time. I see. He had to eat, saw the lobby and dodged. I see. Gotcha. Old Gladshield KA was crazy. Yeah, I remember KA being OP in any meta where, like, generally, I just said it too, probably before you entered the stream. I think KA would be really good right now in Smite 2. Because all the items that are generally good on him would be really good. Or are generally really good. Like, Gladshield is back, you have Yogis in the game, where just never run out of mana. Like, it's... You have the perfect start again. I mean, this really looks like a Pete's game, bro. Modred, Bunts, Ganesh. Budge. Budge. So I'm trying a new build on Apollo. I'm tempted to try Warriors, but I think I still have to go Bluestone, otherwise my early game is too bad. But I will go straight into Yogis to start with. Question is, do I start with Sash or do I just go double pots? I think double pots is the most reliable option. Because I just cannot fall behind. I'll be relying on HP so much that if I fall behind, I'm cooked. I think K is just budget Modred. I think K is going to be better than Modred. Like, straight up. KA he's better at ability spamming, I think.
Yes. Minions have spawned.
I'm also playing on no sensitivity, so we'll see how that goes. This clear is terrible, though. My god. Not having that extra 15 power is rough. For an ADC early game. Maybe I leave that on the ground until I need healing, actually. Pot sealing the fuck out of him.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Why did they all jump in with me? The fuck? I was wondering why I lost mana so fast. That was really weird. Why the fuck did they go in with me? Where are you guys going? I'm just going to their blue. I ulted, actually I pre-ulted to make sure I wasn't gonna get bot ulted, because I was so sure that he was gonna ult. I'm assuming he tried, he just got knocked up by Aladdin.
Completed.
Yeah, King Arthur's very scary. Like, I am both looking forward to him coming to the game eventually, but I'm also dreading it, because I know he's not one of my favorites, and he's such a menace to deal with when he's good. But I mean, I'll join him a little bit. I think he is fun. I'm actually kind of surprised he isn't here yet. He was teased for so long.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Ooh, maybe big air result. Got one.
Ultimate is down.
No.
Completed. Enemy missing left.
Okay, Mordred. This Mordred things.
Enemy missing.
Man! Of course.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I should be pretty free now that I have yogis for a little while. I did fuck up though. Shouldn't have tanked minions for that long. Do I just ult him now? He shouldn't have his big ult, so maybe I can just full smork him here. Fuck it. Let's see if I can time this right as he hits the wave. Where the fuck is he? What? I don't even want to beat it. What? He died! How is it up again? What are we talking about? My dude! How is it up again? What the fuck? He wasn't alive! Alright, Iris, sure. I think Mordred is generally a finely balanced character, but I don't know what the fuck is wrong with the charging on the ultimate. That thing feels like it charges even faster than King Arthur's ever did. It ain't right. Is it mine? No, good. Wait, it has a passive reach? What the fuck? I didn't know that. And I'm rank 10. I mean, he could have given me the kill, no, that's fine.
Enemy spotted. On my way. That's too bad.
Oh, easy wrong. Your middle tower is under attack. Enemy has been slain.
Enemy spotted.
Lots is down here. Nicely timed stuff from them.
Enemy spotted.
The Gold Fury.
I don't think I could kill this elephant even if I wanted to. Why did he even try to dash me? That seems like a waste of both our time.
Be careful, right?
Yes!
Your middle tower is under attack.
I don't know if I dare, like, King Arthur is one of those characters where I don't think I would dare to give him a +1, because he's so easy to just break. Like, that character can so easily become giga broken. I don't know if I am in the mood for a giga broken King Arthur in Smite 2. Granted, he would just join everyone else, I guess, in the broken list. But still.
Enemy missing!
He feels like one of those already pretty bloated characters.
Attack the gold on my way.
Blocked it this time. Fight me. Fight me. I don't have a dash. No. Okay. Man, that's fucked up. Mordred beats. I was not prepared for a fucking Merlin to show up, man.
Your right tower is under attack.
On my way.
And we're just jumping. Still at the chain, so it's good. But it's a risk if I can jump around for Mary's there. Stuck in putting himself in animation.
Your right tower is under attack.
Ultimate is ready.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Well, die once, lose tower. That is Sol, though. I'm surprised I got one tapped, actually. I did take Merlin's whole kit to the face, I suppose.
Yes.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer.
Just come.
Okay.
You guys just bait them over there, I can tank this. I mean, just keep them away, Ares, man. That's why I told you, just to stay with them, bait them away. If you go to us, they know we're doing it. It's so annoying, man. It's so fucking classic. Why the fuck would Ares come to us? What a fucked up day.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Well, we just literally gave them their way back into the game. That's so fucking tragic. Still though, despite the gigantic kill difference, I'm surprised we're not really that far ahead in gold. But I guess it's because we're not really doing objectives. I guess it didn't change much after all. Maybe we can get a Phoenix if we split up. Should at least get one, surely.
Attack the gold fury!
The Pyromancer has arrived. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
What other items did I have in mind, actually? Let me check. Oh yeah, shifters. Because I need damage. And then we'll go Phoenix Shield. Because I kind of want to try it. Something I noticed in practice mode, I don't know if this is really intended or not, but I guess it probably is, because it is technically a new ability. But every time my one resets, it counts as a new ability. So it will just proc Phoenix Shield. So if I can make sure that I have my one proc up to 3 times when I initiate in a fight, I can heal so much. I just gotta hit multiple targets.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
I'm just gonna chase the Merlin, I'm ulting him.
Wash them away. An enemy has been slain.
Attack middle lane.
Should have gone Vam's route. Dude, my clear be so shit. It's already really bad not starting with Axe.
Completed!
Enemies have returned.
Ganesh has Hunter, we can't stop him. We have to kill him. We need to fight this. I think they got him. I'll just go look for the elephant. I caught his dash, I think. Sounded like it. Let's make sure no one's sitting in the bush.
Destroyed the fire giant.
Silence. Boar might actually be clutch. What did I have as my last item? I had Nemean, I believe. I think I'll go Boar in this game. This doesn't feel like a Nemean game to me. This definitely feels more like if you're out of position with all the CC they have, you gotta board the fuck out. This is a stay safe and reinitiate situation, not a stand-in fight. If anything, they do have Saul. I probably should have fit in a... Actually, he's not even going for the OP build, never mind. He doesn't have enough lifesteals to make it work. I was thinking Contagion, because Contagion just naturally counters Saul so much with the Devil's lifesteal build.
Enemy has been slain. Wash them away.
Too bad.
Well backed.
Attack right lane.
And we just kind of won, like,
This is goodbye.
pretty hard in this one.
Victory.
So it was kind of hard to tell if this build was good or not. Because any build can feel good when you're really far ahead. It felt decent in lane though, like just in terms of obviously sustain. Damage wise, it is definitely not great. Like I have to wait, I think, until Yogi's is online. At least. Oh yeah, actually, let me see if I can just invite adapting here. Make our lives slightly easier, hopefully. It's my starting to look like, wow, you had 12 items, effects, etc. at one point. Yeah, it's... when you have a lot of actives and stuff, it's definitely very disorienting. I mean, it is weird. When you have, like, 3 actives, you have all your abilities, you have your beats, like, holy moly, bro. Suddenly there's so many buttons. I think it's too many buttons. It is too much. Oh yeah, the grouping up the 2 buffs and killing them. I mean, that's definitely a weird start. It is pretty weird. That was a season 11 thing too. I'm not really sure I liked it. It was fun, I think, but it was weird. You know what? I want those back. I want the tower defender things back. Even though, did they actually do anything except for just giving you gold? Maybe they didn't do much to defend the tower. I just want something that makes towers slightly harder to go on early on. Because it's too fucking easy to kill towers. And I hate it. They make towers tankier, will definitely give me them then. For the love of fuck, make towers more tanky again. I hate how easy it is to kill towers in Smite 2. You make one mistake, you die, you lose your tier 1, and it feels like shit. Good players will absolutely take advantage of you no longer having a tier 1. You're so out of position all the time, if it happens really early. Oh, got a slap fest. Oh! Nice. It's the clean 1-for-1. Morgan probably wins the at level 3 fights at this point, yeah. I would imagine that. I miss Morgan Le Fay, man. I just fell in love with that character in season 11, and then she got removed because she was bugged, and I never got to play her again. She was so much fun in solo too, as like a hybrid mage, just like Raijin. We do not miss Morgan Le Fay. I do. Think about her every night, just like Raijin. Oh yeah, you guys don't hear this, do you? There you go. No, I don't miss Maman. Fair enough. I can kind of be there with you. What's up, Wolfie? How you doing today? Oh, he wants to take the fight again. Do you win it this time? No, you don't. Don't fight Kamasuts, bro. And not only is it Kamasuts, it's also Johnny. Stop fighting him. Yeah, I mean, Maman is just one of those characters that I think will be really OP in Smite 2 as well. But I think it just goes for a lot of characters. Even some things you won't even expect to be OP because they have an aspect that will be really OP. I wasn't expecting Osiris aspect to be as powerful as it is. Dude, fucking hell, man. I think normal Osiris is completely fine. He's the same character. He's a gigantic lane bully and really tanky going into late game. But his aspect just has this broken burst potential that is just fucking hard to deal with if you play it right. Granted, I mean, he's still just a low mobility Osiris going into late game then, but because of Boar existing, that weakness kind of gets removed. It's, you know, it's strange. Always gonna be good, yeah. He's always gonna be pretty. I don't actually know. I could see both Ao Kwang being completely busted and complete shit. It's weird. I'm looking forward to Ao Kwang though. I liked him even though he was not much of a solo laner. I just think he's such a cool character. He's just had such a cool kit. Big on Helm on Osiris aspect, and it's so much fun. You're not the only one. I met Sav doing it when I streamed last, I believe. It was either during my last stream or just. No, I don't think it was during my stream because I kept crashing. It was just off stream, I guess. I was playing as Sav, he went Osiris aspect with Helm, like Helm of Radiance, and it's fucking ridiculous to deal with. Like that item by itself as well is just really OP. It's just not that many are really building it. Oof, close. Oh, like nice fight. Are we going in? No. Can I say Zhang be quite good in Smite and Soul in Smite 2? Definitely, absolutely. Zhang would be great. And you know why Zhang would be great? Because Boar exists, bro. You can literally have an escape as Zhang Kuei. You can go in without risk. Do you realize how shit that is? And no, I mean, by me mean shit, I mean fucking broken. It's so OP, man. I think Boar just kind of ruins some things. Because some characters should not be able to get out. There are a one initiate, like all in type character, but because Boar existing, they can just not be that. They can just go in and still get out. Oh, Spodio still got hit by that. Rough. So it's interesting, right? Like Smite 2 changes the dynamic of some characters because of certain items existing. Oh, that was a lot of burst damage. The Morgan Le Fay burst. And he didn't have his ult dump. Missed the Donger. I miss so many gods, actually. I do hope one of the next ones after Sylvanas here. I don't know if that has been revealed, who comes after Sylvanas, but I hope it's something that I enjoy playing. Like, just in some way, shape, or form. Because so far, the last 3 characters have not really been for me. Give me Nezha. Dude, Nezha will be another asset situation where people will just scream for double relics again. You know who I've nearly forgot existed? Maui? Yeah, Maui is probably not on the very popular list of characters. The thing is, almost no one asks for mana. I'm the only one. So he's not coming anytime soon. Heard Artio is soon? I'm down for that. I really do like Artio. Again, it's been in spinching CSGO videos that I'm clueless. Yeah. I haven't watched CSGO in a little while, actually. I usually watch the majors when they're there, but I don't really keep up with Counter-Strike, generally. Same thing with, like, League. I watch Worlds, but that's it. I like watching the hype. around the big tournaments. It gives me life. Can't tell me if Sylve is more popular than Kama Neja Hachi. I could see it though. I could see it. And I mean, I don't think it necessarily like popularity in like a more people play this type of character, but they're more looking at like we need a support. Who's the most popular one now? That type of thing. Because if you always went for the most popular ones, bro, we would only have mages. It would only be fucking mages, mages and junglers, man. All right, let's ban something.
Select your god.
I wanted to do Apollo again, but now they've picked an execute character. I don't know if I want 1,000,000 HP and just get executed, so maybe I try something else.
Tsukuyomi.
I want to try tank Tsukuyomi. That's what I'm gonna do. What the heck is that team, by the way? Well, mine? We've got Ducky in here. I can show you guys. We've got a Gapu, an Ad Fury, and a Ducky. Good luck, we are shafted. You'll be fine. I'm playing something weird. I believe in you guys. I'll say hello to Ducky, but I won't say hello to Gapu. Kami says hi. Ducky. Wait, Kami? Oh, Kami. There we go. Fixed. You're playing Tsuku? What the fuck do you mean? I'm going full tank. Full tank. OP character, but building weird. That's what I'm doing. Kami says Ducky. Wait, oh. Oh. Maybe I should stop paying attention to everything in the chat. He says hi back, Kami. There you go. He got it anyways. I mean, that's why he's the GOAT. I'm trying to read this chat over here. I'm trying to fucking watch this shit at the same time. Just my brain is it's just split. Alright, close this shit. Time to game. Alright, focus the fuck up, man. Come on, brain. You can do this. I believe in you. Right, so they have... this kind of smells like an Aegis game to me. Surely I can survive a freeze. I think I can survive a freeze. I'm mostly scared of getting executed, to be honest. Okay, I want to try this. Could just start stacking. Tempted to... I'm gonna do multi-pots. I'm a bit afraid of running out of mana, even if I have blue buff. I'm experimenting, guys. I'm experimenting. Maybe I start with my caltrops as well. I'm not going in, so I won't scale as well, I guess, but... my buff clear is going to be really bad. I might have to rely on the caltrops. W. W caltrops. Love to see it. Ah, that's terrible. That was actually terribly placed. Barely did any damage. Not like I'm winning this level 2 anyway, I think. Achilles is pretty strong this early.
Enemy has been slain.
I'll take a Sunder actually. That means I won't have it for
The rain shall wash
the imps.
them away. No problem. Curses!
Be careful!
Watch your step. Shingetsu, strike!
Enemy has been slain.
Savagery has been eliminated.
It's gonna take forever, but I think that they left them.
With that threat taken care of, it's time to get to work. Savagery has
Your
been
left tower
eliminated.
is under attack.
Mangetsu, burn bright! Nah!
I feel like I haven't seen Gabo play Fenrir in a long time. Right. Right, what did I have in mind? Probably just gonna start with Glad Shield. Maybe I won't go full tank, because we have a pretty weird comp.
The rain shall wash them away.
Watch your step.
Enemy has been slain.
Good work! You...
Enemy missing left.
On my way.
Mangetsu, burn bright.
Wash them away. Oh, you move like a jaguar. Ooh.
Strike. This won't miss. Follow me. Watch your step.
Man, I shouldn't have followed, I guess.
Okay.
Let's get Sanguine. I was trying to see if I could bait long enough for Morrigan to show up, but should have probably just saved my Aegis for the execute. Oh. It's going damage. Would I level first than Tsuku? Usually the one.
Your left tower is under attack.
In rare cases, maybe the two, but mostly the one. It is your main source of damage.
Enemy spotted.
On my way.
Enemy has been slain.
Oh yeah, they do give 12 gold. Oh, okay.
This won't miss.
Your right tower is under attack.
Burn bright. Enemy ultimate
No man, Achilles has so much damage. I can't fight back right now. I was limit testing, I just don't do any damage compared to him. And he has fucking Sunder too to help the situation. I just don't do any damage and I'm not tanky enough.
Your left tower is under attack. Enemies behind us.
Fudge. Good thing my ult didn't go off. That would have been a waste.
Your right tower is under attack. Ally has been slain.
watch your step.
Your right tower is under attack.
I mean, they're all red out now for some fucking reason. I'm just falling further behind. I'm all the fucking lowest level in the game. This sucks. I don't think the wall made a difference. I couldn't have finished them off with my one anyway. I don't. Why are they even on me, bro? It's so weird. I'm the lowest level on my team. Why me? That's the only reason why I'm playing so aggressive. It's because I'm not expecting them to be on me. Now I literally have to sit in my tower and farm if there's a chance they're still sitting on me. It's so weird. I don't understand. I mean, in a way, it's still just good, but it doesn't make sense. I mean, if we're still dying everywhere else, then obviously it's fucked up anyway, but... I'm just falling further behind now, because for some reason, like...
I maybe gank for
Despite
you right
me...
now.
I think I'm just dead. There's nothing.
Just go mid when you spawn, I guess.
Sure. Damage, yeah, I mean, actually, what is he building? Yeah, I mean, he's just fully going full damage. And because I'm behind, I can't do enough damage to make a difference to... or against that right now.
Your right tower is under attack.
I'm trying a new thing, man. And I'm meeting one of the hardest warriors to deal with early game. Achilles is so much early game damage. Granted, it went fine, I just fucked up.
Does he have ult on Achilles?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be up very soon.
I'm trying to spawn kill him.
Watch your step.
I'm coming right here. Just keep him around if you can.
Okay.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing mid.
Your right tower is under attack.
Get his tower at least.
Your right tower has been destroyed. Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way.
Enemies in your middle tower is under attack.
On my way.
Trying to get there.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll just go zone, guys. Stay on gold.
Your team has been before me. Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is under attack. On my way.
My damage is so low, bro.
An enemy has been slain.
Actually, they do have Achilles. Maybe I could get away with the brawlers. Probably should have started with it if I wanted to.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
It's so sad, Ymir. I mean, he tried. He tried. He probably just did everything here. As long as he didn't do red, it should be okay.
Attack fire on my way.
Enemies have returned to base. Your team has destroyed the pyramid.
missing left.
Enemies in middle lane. On my way.
On my way.
Ready.
I'm rotating over as well. That's fucked up.
Oh, you move like a jaguar.
Watch your step.
Your right tower is under attack.
This won't miss. Getsu, burn bright.
No. Still beats.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I'm thinking a Stampede might be really nice for me this game. I do feel bad. I don't know if you picked Morrigan to turn into a Tsuku as well, but that's definitely not what you should be doing this game. Do not turn into Tsuku this game. That ain't the play.
Enemy missing left. Watch your step. Pyro has arrived.
Enemies behind us.
I'm TPing over.
Enemy has been slain.
Oh, they're winning anyway without me.
Enemies incoming.
Ally has been slain. The rain shall wash them away. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
I was just kidding.
Get in the chaka! To get it?
He ulted early, and that was nice of him. Yeah, sorry for not answering too much in the chat here, guys. But yes, living the 3 early on is the best for clearing in general. As long as you can kite it well. Because every step anything takes inside the caltrops will take... Like, every step takes damage. If you stand still, there is no damage, but... You can just kite things inside of it, then yeah, it's gonna be a lot of damage. Even more so if you're building int, because the caltrops scale higher with int than they do with strength.
The rain shall wash them away.
Thanks.
Enemy spotted.
Shingetsu, strike! Getsu,
Can we just fire? Ah, bomb.
Can try.
Enemy has been slain. Your team destroyed a right enemy tower. Destroyed the fire tower.
It's time to get to work. An implement worthy of myself.
Let's get boar next, so I can get out. And maybe last item I'll go for something where I can do a little bit of damage, because holy moly. My damage is kind of super shit, if I have to say so myself. It's safe to say that tank Tsuku probably isn't good.
Enemy ultimate down. Destroyed a middle enemy tower. Middle enemy tower. Destroyed a middle enemy. They hit like a baby. Enemy has been slain. Left enemy
I will not be stopped.
Maybe you want to play track for Tsuku? Hit me! Hit me more! Alright, let me actually get this dagger used. No, I missed him. Fuck. I missed. I think I either missed or my one just hit on the Achilles in front of me instead. It was too fat. Yeah, I'm playing ranked. Always playing ranked. Let me see. Yeah, I usually don't really listen to music on my stream. It tends to be distracting for me. So. Sorry, man. I usually don't. I am too easily distracted. Oh, and I just straight up inting because Ducky and Kennen. Yeah. Yeah, he does seem to just jump
Your
in a
team
lot.
has destroyed the pyramids.
Greetings.
Get on, loser. We're gonna own some news.
Let's get this damn dagger thing.
Shingetsu, strike! This won't miss.
Get him. Lucky beats.
Little enemy Phoenix. Shingetsu, strike! Enemy has been slain.
Yeah, so I don't really think this was good. Just as a, for the record. Don't think the tank Tsuku was really particularly good. Like, his biggest tool is poke. And it doesn't have high enough base damage to really be useful as a frontline. Because like even Osiris will do way more poke than Tsuku will. Despite going full tank on the Osiris. In this, I had to go like hybrid to even do a little bit of damage. So yeah. Now we know. Now we know. Do your screen. Ooh, close. Hachiman is another character I think would be so OP in Smite 2. Just with the high damage output, if you get like a good stun off, a good dash stun, you're just cooked. Like, bye. And he has the escapability to like get out of most scenarios, so there's also that. Where you can just stay safe in most cases. Hachi with a Lonely Bow, oh my god. I mean, he has so long range. I think, I don't know, would it even be good on him? Oh, so Wukong Steel.
Your god.
Mordred, eh? Is that Mordred on my lane? Or is that a jungle Mordred?
Apollo.
I'll do Apollo again. I want to try that build again. In a game where we're maybe not stomping as much. And another Sol, so I might have to invest in a Contagion. Was a dodge. Yeah, exactly. Like being safe in Smite 2 is even better than being safe in Smite 1 because you need it. You should have needed in Smite 2. In Smite 2, it was more of like a bonus because you still had 2 relics making you pretty safe. But like in Smite 2, you're either safe or you're not. I will say this though, if he's against like a Ymir or a Thor, he can so easily be walled off. Walls are extra strong in Smite 2, I think, because the jungle is just so much smaller, it feels like. It's a lot more closed in, there's so many places you can just get walled off. And that won't really save him. But you have Combat Blink in Smite 2? No, we don't. We don't have Combat Blink anymore. We only have normal Blink. And it's pretty short ranged. We haven't had Combat Blink for a long time now. I think the majority of high level players wish we still had it. But the casuals hated it too much. And so they removed it. And the game is just worse as a result of it. Combat Blink was the one really cool thing they made in Smite 2, I think. Well, not one, I suppose, but more like if you have one relic, Combat Blink makes sense. Otherwise, I would absolutely hate it. Having 2 relics and then having Combat Blink, I think sucks. It's too OP for that. But one relic, I think Combat Blink at least gives you that chance to survive almost everything, which I think is good. I mean, it had a long ass cooldown too. I actually thought it was really balanced. Yeah, whatever. Nice. Good fight. Just now clocked onto ranked having a reset. Yeah. It was different this time though. Top 100 people got like they were only thrown down to 4.6. Yeah, did they even announce it? They did. Oh, finish it up, boys. Finish it up. There we go. I want Snoopy back. I just want more players, bro. Give me more players. I want Dude Bro 69 to just join Smite and just play the game and have fun with it. You know? So we can get a bigger player base, which would fix the queues and create some more positivity around the game. But for that to be the case, they need to actually make the game good. And I'm not gonna lie to you right now. I don't think the game is very good right now. I think they just keep making it worse, which makes me sad. But they're just slowly removing everything that makes it good. And it started with Combat Blink. It started with Combat Blink, bro. The things and cool mechanical stuff you could do with Combat Blink in Smite 2 was fucking awesome. Because you could do it while like in animation with things. You can still do it on some characters like Thanatos with Blink. You can start up the silence and blink during the silence to initiate with them. That's fucking awesome, bro. That's so cool. And before you could do that just in combat, which means some characters can't really do that anymore because they were required to be in combat to use some abilities. Oh, get him. Good Aegis. Oh, close. Exactly. Generally, you're being hit when you're Emerald. That's a good example. Generally, you're being hit. You can still like blink Emerald, or like Emerald then blink. But generally, when you use it now, you're going to be in combat. So very rarely will that ever be a thing. But that's such a cool fucking thing, man. And I don't think it was OP either. Legitimately, because you're using your only escapability, in terms of relics anyway, to make that happen. I think that's completely fine. It's high risk, high reward. It's a trade. That's what I think makes it so cool. Is that combat blink wasn't just a way to get out. It wasn't casuals because they didn't know any better. But in competitive and high level play, it was something really cool to start fights and fight back with, and or to get out with. It was such an all around cool thing. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't a huge fan of Combat Blink in Smite 1. I was a big believer of them just getting rid of it. Because you had 2 relics. Because you could have beads or ages on top of that Combat Blink was way too powerful, because you're never dying with that. But with a 1 relic system, I thought it was perfect. Because now you're in a situation where you can have beads and ages, meaning some comps are literally impossible for you to carry. Not carry, counter. Like, if you're meeting a Tsukuyomi and an Ares, you can't have both beads and ages. And one of them will absolutely shit on you. That's what I hate about the current system. At least 2 relics made sure that you at least had a counter potential in every scenario, for the most part. Because then it becomes an outplay to then force those things before you initiate. That's just, that skill isn't really there in Smite 2. You can just go on someone now because they don't have the counter potential to deal with you in some cases. It just makes the game less skill based. But again, this is like a high level issue. Sorry if I'm just talking over all this and it makes it hard to hear what I'm saying, but I think people understand what I'm trying to say. I feel like I'm going through this every stream. But anyway, enough of that. Anyway. I just don't think that, like, it goes both ways. I don't think they should listen to the 2% of the top players who are playing the game at a high level, who knows how to abuse all the strong stuff, right? That's fair enough. You can't really just listen to that small amount of people. But you shouldn't ignore them either. Because they're the most passionate players you have. That being said, you shouldn't only listen to the casuals either, because they don't care anyway. They will always find something new to complain about. So even if you remove the thing they're currently complaining about, they will find another one. It doesn't change their daily life. They still hate the game. Not hate, but like they will still just find something else to complain about. It always happens. Still, I mean, that's not going to happen at high level, but yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine it being easy like being a developer in those cases, but still. Game Owner hates casual players. I actually like them a lot, but I need them to shut the fuck up sometimes. Get the F out, as always. I don't know what to play here, to be honest.
Your god.
I guess I'll just do the same. Yeah, I'll just do Apollo again. I want to try this in an actual game, so I'll keep trying. I just want to try one more time. Holy moly, is the fire giant made out of paper? God damn. That fire giant died fast. Praying that Tiamat's aspect is support solo driven. I would imagine it to be that. Because I don't see what else it would be. Kukulkan, I have no idea, bro. That could actually go anywhere. Because I don't really think he has a good... Like, what would you do to make him a support? He just does not have a supporty kit whatsoever. If anything, I could see them maybe trying to make it a jungler in some way. Because he functions very much like an assassin when like he actually has items online now. You can definitely go in and just one-shot someone now. The weird thing will always be the ultimate, though. I don't know how they could make the ultimate good in as like a jungler or a support. Because the ultimate literally has to change. This will be the first time I think I'm seeing a set open. No, I've seen it once actually in support, but second time I'm seeing a set. Interesting. Interesting. Bro, they have so much CC, what the fuck? Well, they actually don't, but with bots and Cabrakan, they do. I kinda want to try a different start. What did I buy before? I need to check again. I don't have any power in my build at all. With the build I'm going with before. I think I need to, though. I really think I need to. Maybe I start with a Sanguine. Wait, has it always only been 10? Huh.
I'll take one of those.
Or maybe I'm just an idiot. I already regret this. I should not have gone with this. Something doesn't have health. Can I build something that has health? Also, somehow, I mean, I guess Golden Blade.
Minions have
But I was trying to move away from Golden Blade. Shit, man! What have I done?
Blessings upon you.
Eye of Erebus, maybe. Definitely not going Eye of Erebus. What a shit start, bro. I have to use a pot. That's so fucking annoying. Guess I just have to do an early back. Not much else to do. I think I missed one of my ones there. Hey, made him back. Actually made him back early. I'll just commit to the Sanguine instead. I'll go my usual build after Sanguine. It's not like Sanguine is bad anyway, but I was trying to just go for a full health build.
Enemy missing left.
Be right back. Be careful, middle.
No problem. Be careful, right.
Can I Korean stick around long enough? I only need 400 gold. Surely it's not that bad.
On my way.
Be right back.
Fabuloso! Your middle tower is under attack.
Very nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Now we're gonna Yogis. Followed up with a glass shield.
Enemy ultimate down.
Your left tower is under attack.
That's kind of tragic. Yorm is going to be pretty good at taking the crystals. Not that it matters that much. Actually, you can just press on them anyway, but...
Enemy has been slain.
How much does this actually heal? It's a decent amount, considering it's just for free. Oops. Okay, not bad, I guess. That was really bad from me. I missed everything.
Enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing left.
Attack the Gold Fury.
Cancel that.
I wanted to land on him and still have mana enough for my abilities, but it just resulted in missing my ult entirely.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Enemy missing
Yorm might be coming mid.
Allies slain.
Never mind, he's here.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
On my
The rain shall wash them away.
Not too sure what I'm saving the fucking item for, but probably gonna use it a few times by now. It's been a lot of fighting. I don't know when to actually use it. I only picked it up because I didn't want the enemy to pick it up. If that's even how it works.
Has arrived.
Enemies in the right jungle. Ultimate is ready.
Fuck, what did I have in mind? It was something I wanted to build. Flash shield, that's what it was.
Yes.
I'm away. I don't have my ult though.
Nice one HP.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed
I might not help.
I'm ulting too.
Your middle
On blue, I think.
Ooh, I'm a Savage B. Cap has no abilities for now.
range to wash them away.
Attack fire giant.
Did he back?
No. I'm back in though.
How the fuck did Cap go?
Your middle tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed the pyramid. Your team has destroyed the left enemy tower.
You wanna try and do a fire at 15? We do have a settle.
This is Force's ult here.
There it is.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your team destroyed the fire tower.
That's fine, we got his ult.
Help middle lane.
Bro.
is under attack.
The pyro has arrived.
You move like a jaguar. Ooh. Very good. Thunderbolts of lightning. Very, very scary. Yeah.
No, my build. I never get very far, man.
Victory.
Summoning the apocalypse.
Another huge ADC player. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't think it would have made a huge difference, if I have to be honest. I think mid just had such a hard time that game into like an asset. I'm surprised not to see Acne being picked as well when a set is being picked from it. Like Acne is just the like a set counter. It's always been that way. Granted, it is the first time I've seen her picked in mid in one of my games. Good poke. Oh. Okay, I suppose Snoopy has to die here. Nice, jump in from the regen. Hit him with the banana. Nice. Oh, and they even bounced around. Huge. Well done. Really good fight. I don't mean to complain all the time, so I'll call this nitpicking instead. This is, I don't know if whoever is doing the spectator is a new person or, probably swapped a lot, I would imagine, throughout the years, but what I miss in the earlier days of spectator is that a lot of the mechanics that spectator has aren't being used. Like, you can't just look at a player's perspective too, but that's never really being used as much. Granted, this can change. This is purely based on what I'm seeing in this set so far. But I would expect the spectator to be more interactive, considering this is a third-person game. You can just spectate third person sometimes when there is an initiation happening, but that never happens. show what the player is you know, watching on their own screen. I would like to see that type of stuff a bit more. Wow. I mean, they're very grouped in these fights too. They're taking so much poke from the same abilities on both carries. Huge. Potential turnaround now. That. Oh no, the tower is also just shredding through the front line.
Select.
Wait, who dodged? Hello? Fuck. Okay. Did they first pick dodge? Also, big idiot here, missed this meta. Why the fuck are the Titans fighting in the lane? What's the point of it? Is it just a pusher? I know that whichever loses just go back, like it's not like it affects the Titan or anything, so from what I know, but what was the point of that? Is that rune forged? What hammer is that? No. Is this a Sunder meta, or was that not a thing at this point? I guess Sunder at this point has already been removed, or Hand of the Gods, or anything like that. So you're just coin tossing it. Coin tossing it? Coin tossing it. Coin toss that. Because they don't have good secure on the side of Hex. Raijin is really not great at stealing Fire Giants. I guess Morgan has pretty decent secure with her 3-2 combo. I'm not too sure though. Didn't really play her enough to know how good her secure is. But I mean, both teams I would say don't really have particularly good secure on like objectives. There's not like a Kulkin or Ra type thing on the other team.
Select your god.
What the fuck am I picking here? Do I want to play Apollo again? I don't know. I'll do a Kukulkan game. It's just baiting so much time. It's never worth it going on the damn Arthur. It's a good flank. It's a really good flank. Oh no. Morgan is not a position though. Nice. Let's see if they can kill the raid boss. Oh, Kama's that old after all that. I didn't even realize. That's... It was looking a bit grim at times. Damn. Oh my god. Of all the times I decided to go Kukulkan, why in this game? Aspect. Aspect your arm.
Yes. May fate favor you.
Some other time.
Bro, we've had like lower eload games 3 times now, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just play something fun.
Minions have spawned.
Might just be a boar rush in this one. I fucked up my NATO. Should have expected him to hit me. Fuck up the wave.
awful right.
Yes. Enemy swole.
In the right jungle.
Yes.
Your left tower is under
Enemy
attack.
missing.
I'm definitely still thinking about what I should be doing in this one. Because if I go boar, I can't really rush it. Rushing boar will not be good for me here.
You hit like a vegetarian.
Okay.
My bad, I wasn't expecting 3 people there. Why the fuck were there 3 people down there? I mean, I guess I know why, but... that seems just... rude. Plain rude. Actually, maybe I go yogis.
Your left tower is under attack.
Maybe yogis is the play. The sustain might do more for me than the escapability from boar.
On my way.
Man, we're gonna struggle this game because we have Morrigan support too. Our initiate is pretty bad. And then we have on her jungle.
On my way.
Enemy missing middle.
Enemy has been slain. Enemy has been slain.
Yeah, I called it. Like 10 times.
Perfection.
Whatever. I'll go boar.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
wash them away.
Enemy missing mid right.
Gonna miss 3 creeps, but
Your left tower is under attack.
fuck it. I'll focus on the farm for now.
Ally has been slain.
Man, that missed. And you want this mid too, of course he is. My bad, I didn't realize he was just gonna leave the wave.
Your right tower is under attack.
That's weird. Should have called the missing, I guess.
Defend middle lane.
Enemies at the Gold Fury.
Ten res 1 HP. Man, that's so unfortunate.
Ultimate is down.
Shouldn't miss too much of the wave at least, but tragic death nonetheless. You're Miss Stealth.
Enemy missing left.
Enemy has been slain.
Nature calls.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
Guess I lost tower for that. Great play.
On my way.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
Okay.
The rain shall wash them away.
I started stuttering there. That was kind of fucked up timing, actually.
Be careful, enemies in right lane.
Enemy missing left.
Goodbye. That's too bad. right tower is under attack.
It's gotta be rough this game if we're getting soloed in right. Probably. I think we can win for the most part. Or just stay even. Around mids. Obviously I lost solo pretty hard early on, but that's just kind of this matchup.
Your right tower is under attack.
If the ADCs can stay even, we should be okay. Yes, TP.
Enemy missing.
On my way.
Enemy missing.
Enemy spotted. Enemy spotted.
To the pyro.
They can't escape us
I'm away.
now. Delicious kill.
I can probably get mid tower if I get the bump. You can get left tower.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower. The enemy team has destroyed the gold. Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing middle.
Enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing middle.
Yorm is just gonna TP every time you fight him right. I'll TP this time though.
Should I come? I'm on the way.
We're gonna jump.
If we get more out, this should be a free fight.
Fan ult down.
On my way.
Venom's half HP, no ult. In the back.
Ultimate is ready.
Nice. Damn, I 3k gold. I just did not do enough damage. I was thinking it was probably going to be fine if he decided to go into my nados, but yeah, that ended up being pretty irrelevant. Let's just get some pen early because they're just going for such a hefty frontline comp with this. I did go in and miss everything in the beginning. That was not ideal.
Your right tower is under attack.
It is what it is sometimes.
On my way.
Enemy has been slain. destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Going pretty well so far, actually. Not because of me, though. I'm just surviving. In a world rough for a snake. I'll just back as well, actually. Get that pen online. Are we back now? We're so back. In this game, if you mean in real life and my internet isn't shitting myself, then yeah, that's also hopefully back. So far, so good. I did call my internet providers. They said, yeah, it looks pretty bad in your area, actually. It's not even just you. I was like, okay, great. That's so much better. But then they called the technician. He came what it felt like literally in an instant and fixed the internet. Because literally 30 minutes later, I monitored my internet and it was completely fine with no issues. It was so weird. I've never called and had a problem fixed. Oh shit. So fast. Man, fuck these guys. Why me?
Has been slain.
On my way.
Just make sure I'm not getting CC'd here. Fuck that. I'll play the role of a front line just to tank it up a bit. I'll trade my beats for a Phoenix, like an idiot. Even though I definitely didn't have to. I'm having issues speaking too now. I want this rip buff so I can do nothing with it.
Your team has
Did he tell you what the issue was? No, he didn't. Not exactly.
Follow me.
Be right back. Be careful left.
On my way.
All he told me was that he could see that the area, just my area as a whole, had had issues. Even if we didn't have the same like internet providers in this area, you could just see that there was the, I don't know what it's called in English, but like the area connection was just off. So I assume the dude came over, he checked it, and was like, "Oh, that's the issue right there," and then he fixed it. Done. That's what I imagined it was. It was very easy for him because he's such a gigachat. That one technician that came to me.
On my way.
double kill.
I'll defend.
I predict that I did maybe,
Victory.
I don't know, 10k player damage this game. Okay, a little higher than that, but about what I would have expected, you know. Emotional support beats. Yeah, I just existed, that's for sure. It wasn't that bad. I had one really good kill on Fenrir, which is around the turning point of us starting to win the game, actually. That was really big. But that's about all I did this game, I think. I do think if I want to win more games, though, with me trying to carry, Kukulkan is... Like, Kukulkan and Jingwei, I think, are the ones that I should be playing. Because they're generally safe, and if I do this start, if I do decide to play Kukulkan and I go Boar second item, I should be safe enough in lane against most things. Like, Fenrir is one of the rougher things to meet. Because I can't do much against the Brutalize. But outside of that, overall, it is a nice pick. And Kukulkan is just incredibly strong if you get to late game team fighting. He's so powerful. That being said, if I do play it solo, we're missing a tank. So my team might hate me for it. That being said, he's not a bad peeler. It's just gonna be offensive peeling, you know? I'm just gonna kill him. Kill him with NATOs and shit. Could be the same as Ikram, I just play Acne or Jing and solo. Yeah, I thought about it. I don't want to play the Acne, because every time I've met the Acne, it's really, really, really weak in lane. And like, even in multiple games, like Ikram was incredibly good, but even I managed to kill him multiple times on that Acne in the laning phase. And I don't want to go through that. I don't want to die multiple times in lane if I meet someone who knows how to take advantage of it. Jingwei, though, is a different situation. You can just take any poke you want and still back and get back in time. So I think Jingwei I would play, if anything. But yeah. I mean, I have tried. You just have to play so selfishly when you play characters like that I'm not too sure that I would work for me. I die so many times in ranked, every single time I get so pissed because I will die for someone else, and then they will just die anyway. Then we both died for nothing. I have such a helper mentality. I think Ikram can easily get past that. I don't think he has that type of mentality. Wow, that was a lot of damage from Raijin. Wow. I have a hard time dealing with his acne and soloing. I feel like both of them so far, I don't recall at least. Maybe I've had one or two struggles. I don't remember. But most of the time, I feel like I've won my lane really hard, but then he just gets to a point where he's a late game ADC, and then he just shits on me instead. That was the case pretty much every single time. I win early, he wins late. Granted, I do think that is how it should be. With like obviously a late game carry should be a carry late game, and obviously a tank should be stronger early to mid, and then getting weaker into late. I do think that is the best state of like a MOBA. So I don't mind that, but it just sucks that if I'm winning my lane really hard, like and my team isn't, then we'll just end up losing because I'm on a clock here. I will lose eventually. And a lot of those games were just the cases where my team wasn't necessarily winning particularly hard, and Echrome was able to just carry late game then, because we weren't able to punish him for it. For me, he wins early and deals 1k with his 2. I'm just behind. I mean, he's also very good. He is very good. Any taunts? Any Raijin taunts? Oh, we missed everything on Raijin. Oh, what the fuck was that damage? Holy shit. Didn't matter, they still had fire, I guess, but suddenly a lot of damage. Oh, okay. Kamosats, I see. I see you. Mm. Looking, don't know what to play. Maybe I just go Kukulkan again. Fuck it. I'll play Kuku again. Kuku, I go again. Well done. Alright, what's next? So that's the first set. Then we have... Shibalba Storm versus Highland Ravens. I don't recognize any of these names. Let's get to the picks and bans straight away. I'll let it auto itself up. Who dodged, man? Who's dodging all these damn games? Stop it. Ravens was Veneno and I got you. Yeah, I want to see. It's good that you can see the teams here. If it just would stop. Can you just go to this? What's the problem, huh? Recognize Teguir, Radmil Globe happen. Don't recognize Shinigami, and I recognize Valo. And I recognize this whole team outside of the last name here, the coach. Valo was the coach? Interesting. This is two NA teams, so there is no one that I really root for. I guess. I will just be rooting for EU, that's it. Oh, this is before Barrow replaced Sap. Gotcha. Damn, Barrow played up until that point as well. So he recently quit when Smite 2 came out. That's interesting. He just never made the transition, I guess. Nike Athena on her, really? Yeah, Maman makes sense. She's probably going to be banned for the majority of this tournament, I would imagine. Like running against Alex, because she always seems like a dick to you. That's fair. Like, if I had to choose between these teams as well, I don't know, I'm kind of like impartial, I guess, because I do like Sapman. I met Sapman, he's a cool dude. when I met him back at the launch tournament. But like, he's the only one I know personally. I like seeing like Techveer and Red Milk play though, like that team. But that's also because I've watched a little bit of Smite 2 competitive stuff when it was a bit more apparent in the beginning of Smite 2, and I've seen those names quite a bit. Same thing with Happen and Globe. Willix seems to be quite good as well at this point. Thor was banned too in some of the last matches, so makes sense to see him. Achilles, huh? It's cool to see the different priorities from different teams. I like seeing that a lot. I love that stuff. Because Achilles wasn't touched, I believe, in the last picks and bans, was he? Like at all? Maybe he was banned. I don't remember now. Baron Smitty. Oh yeah, the Baba Yaga's open this time. It was bad last time. Interested to see her. I've never really seen her in competitive play, so super down to see that. This was one of those seasons where everyone read the meta slightly differently. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that stuff. Thoth also being banned once again. Kamosats makes sense from what we saw last set. There were 3 Osiris bans in this game. The fuck? In my own game in the back. And 1 Acne ban, which is weird. Oh, Michael Culkin! Aw, shit. Now I have to play something else. Well, shit. Maybe I play Baron then.
Select your god.
I'll play some Baron. These picks and bans are so casual too, because the teams are just running around. They don't have a headset on. They're not speaking to each other in that way, so they're just walking between each other. It's so casual. You start again. Oh, I didn't even see Zeus being banned too. That's interesting. I don't think he was touched before. Kukulkan, huh? Man, I don't even remember when Kukulkan was good in competitive when I was still playing. But at least he always had some value because of the secure and objectives. In these metas where you didn't have like Sunder and Hand of the Gods and all that stuff. This looks like they do have Odin, man. Fuck. Probably a shell game from me.
I did tell everyone to bring their own, but I always bring some extra.
Fuck, I hate this start. Shit, I'll just have to leave my 200 gold in the back. Sheesh. How's the internet holding up? So far so good. It does seem to be fixed. So far so good. Speaking of Echrome from before, now he is actually in these games.
Minions have spawned.
I hope that's an int Wukong, honestly. I don't want to deal with a strength Wukong. Even if that might be better for us overall. It is, okay. That's decent. Decent for us as a team, annoying for me in lane.
Retreat!
Just stop throwing the pot at him, man. Hit the fucking wave, idiot. It's so fucked up that the attacker hit me as he stunned.
Excellent.
Of course, bro. Every game. Why do I get 3-man ganked every game? This is horseshit. Where's my jungler at?
That's no good.
Wait, I said 3-man ganked. I mean just at level 3.
Okay.
That's a 3-man gank. Audio is echoey, that's my bad. That's because the desktop audio is also active. Give me a second. There you go. I think I could have played slightly better as well early on gank.
It's time. Free your soul to the other side.
I'll attack left lane.
Set up an ambush here.
The rain shall wash them away. Power. The rain shall wash them away. The ally has been slain.
That's no good.
Not much to do for me now. Just wait it all out. Interesting. He's gonna go conch.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy spotted. No problem at all.
I'll attack. The rain shall wash them away. Retreat them.
Fuck. Yeah, this is such a chill lane until I have regrowth online. Right now it's just impossible.
Be careful left. Enemies incoming left.
What the fuck? Why just my pot just go? Hello? Fucking through it. Weird.
Enemy missing ride.
That's no good.
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy spotted. Hey,
I want to give him these for free.
Your left tower is under attack.
Guess I don't have a choice. Hello, Nectura. I don't hate World of Warcraft, man. I just don't play it anymore.
Be careful left. Enemies in the left jungle.
Come. The party's this way.
It's so fucked up that the bird is immune.
way. On my way.
Fabuloso!
Guess I didn't have shields.
These monsters are mine to bury. Ooh. Free your soul to the other. Okay.
On my way.
Nice work. Let's grab Genji's as well. And then I'm pretty much done with my...
Pyromancer has arrived. Defend.
Move like a jaguar.
Let's see if I can get there in time.
On my way.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy ultimate down.
Whatever. I guess I'm just gonna go to this lane.
Your left tower is under attack.
And then just fucking TP.
Be careful left.
It's time. Free your souls to the others.
On my way. This too shall pass. On my way.
Enemies in right lane.
Enemy ultimate down. Your left tower is under attack.
This way.
Ally has been slain.
They're just here for so long, bro. Like, why are they here for so long? Go away.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Your spirit returns to the primordial. I repair your strength with
Ally has been slain.
I let an ult down, by the way.
returns to the primordial.
Your middle tower.
I think we did good, Jugador. We baited them long enough.
Your left tower is under attack.
Okay.
It's time. Free your souls to the others.
That's fucked up.
Your team has destroyed the pyramid. Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
On my way.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Oh, I'm staying out.
Excellent.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been
I don't know how that went as bad. I guess Jingwei just got one shot. I wasn't really looking.
Star speed.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I'll attack.
On my way.
Your left
I'll
tower
attack.
is under attack.
Follow me.
Like a jaguar.
Okay.
Okay.
Your left tower is under attack.
Truly amazing.
Man, we just need to stop fighting.
Ally has been slain.
Gank! Help!
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower.
Okay.
Excellent.
Your middle tower is under attack. Under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Ta-da. Defend left lane.
Yes!
The pyromancer has arrived.
Ah!
I mean, it's so lost because Duo has 0 control.
Your right tower is under attack.
You're Jingwei though, can you just sit back? Like, she's the safest ADC in the game. You have to fuck up so hard to die in that character.
Help! Help! Help!
Good pickup.
The party's this way.
I mean, 1 axe and you're just dead as well. Fucking hell, bro.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed. Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Don't know why he's knocking himself up, man, without dashing away. It's good that he got the kill, though.
Ultimate is down.
Your right tower is under attack.
Careful!
Does this actually heal me? Fuck. No, I'll never know.
Free your souls to the others.
This is just not a good Baron game either, because they're all ranged. I low-key picked the Baron, expecting to be against the Odin as well. But I don't think it matters. I just think they just have a better team as well. Maybe that's another part of it. They just have E-Chrome and Dark on 2 broken characters, and we don't really have any broken characters in our team in the same fashion.
Your Titan is under attack.
And we still get hit.
Your Titan is under attack.
Just 1 axe and I'm dead. What a fucked up day. Just against E-Chrome, the meta players can deal with him, but that's not the issue here. The issue was he kept trying to fight. You can just not do that. But Q doesn't work like that. Q needs to fight, otherwise he can't sit back for some reason. But yeah, it wasn't even just that. I think we just got out-comboed as well. Like, I was never alone in my lane as fucking usual. And I can't really blame Snotty in any way, shape, or form. Like, I mean, it's fucking Wukong. Like, you don't want to gank Wukong. That's fucking shit. It's so hard to gank. That being said, it still sucks that so many games in a row now, I keep getting ganked at level 3. So I just naturally fall behind. It's arguably the worst time to like get ganked at any point in solo. Because I don't think it makes a huge difference. If you die at level 9 or 10 or whatever the fuck, that doesn't really make a huge difference. Dying at level 3 means you lose the first rocks no matter what, because you can't contest. Not to mention, the solo will hit level 5 before you, way earlier before you. And I just, once again, cannot fight back. I just have to give up everything that I have. He can just go do whatever he wants, and I can't stop him. It sucks, especially in this matchup, where I don't really think this is a bad matchup for me. It's even weird, right? Because he didn't really do much. I even did more damage despite fucking dying on cooldown. But they just have Aladdin and what's it called? Hu Yi running around doing whatever they want. Oh well. I think some scenarios I definitely could have played better, but they had a rough comp for me either way. Hu Yi is so hard for Baron, I think. It's not like I think this game would have changed if I was playing something else. The same shit would have happened. I probably wouldn't have died though if I had an actual escapability. I just didn't have anything to defend myself at level 3 as a Baron. I do think when I play mages, I should go for the ward instead of the like just a normal ward instead of the flying ward, so I can place that around level 3. It would help so I don't get ganked. So if I do get ganked, I guess I can at least counter it. It sucks having to just give up like the gold camp for free, but at least I won't die for it. Because they'll get that anyway if I die. It is just really awkward. I do need a different game at the moment. I don't even know what I'm waiting for. Recently, I haven't really had like a game pop up where I'm like, I want to play that. Which is, I guess, entirely true. I did just buy Mana Lords, which is definitely more of like a chill game, I would say. Play WoW. I don't want to play WoW, bro. I need a chill game. WoW is not chill. Unless you're just farming dailies or some shit, but that isn't really very, it's not very fun. I've done that for years. I'm tired of it. I want to play a single player game. From Transmog? I mean, I already did do that all the fucking time. Most of the ones I want are just too hard to get at this point. Or like new raid things, or I guess like old expansion raids that might not be soloable just yet. Something like that. I play Postal 2. Do you mean Portal 2? I play Portal 2, yeah. I don't know what Postal 2 is, if that's a thing. No, I don't think I've ever heard about it before, actually. Maybe you'll add it to the list. Doesn't look like a game I'm interested in right now, though. I really want fantasy right now. I need to be in the right mood for something like that. It's very real worldy, that one. I can see there's a bit of unnatural stuff in it, but I guess I just kind of want to get lost in like a fantasy world that doesn't look like the real world right now. I think that's the type of game I'm kind of looking for at the moment, but I just don't really think there is one. No, High Life doesn't really speak to me. It looks like it would be fun for like an hour, but eh. First episode of Dispatch just came out. Yeah, I'll probably potentially get that, or at least watch like a playthrough of it. I'm interested in that, but I would rather wait for it to be finished, I think. I don't want to wait for episodes. That sounds boring. I hated doing that with Telltale games. Path of Exile, tried it. I'm not really a huge fan of the Diablo likes anymore. Same thing with Diablo as well. Bloons. Bloons is definitely chill, yeah. That is the most tempting one you have mentioned, that's for sure. But once again, I think I'll try. I just bought Mana Lords. I think I'll try that a bit later. Mana Lords looks pretty fun. And it's just kind of like a town builder, I guess. That also has like some like war sim aspects to it. It just looks interesting, but I'm not actually too sure what it fully is. I haven't installed. I'll try it later. I didn't know Tekri was a solo laner. He plays ADC in Smite too, doesn't he? Interesting. I already played the Hogwarts Legacy. I don't like the Mafia games. And when I say I don't like them, I mean just like thematically. Not really into it. Tekri main role is jungle. Oh, okay, it's just a multi-role talent then. You pay for the full game, they're just releasing it episodically for reasons. Kind of makes sense with the comic book theming. I don't know why they're doing it like that, generally. Like, once again, like, Telltale did the same stuff, but I just don't really like it. Like, I'm in the mood for it now. Let me play the whole thing now. But I'm assuming it just isn't finished fully yet. Oh, adapting is done? I didn't even realize. I was queuing by myself. That is fair. I'll probably do one game or so, and then I will dip out. As well. Since this patch didn't really change anything for me. The game literally feels like it's the same thing. I don't like the new patch. I'm just so impartial to it. It's done nothing for me. I feel like I'm just playing the same game. The new mechanic doesn't change the game enough to like have an impact on how I feel about it, and I don't like a set, so I'm just playing the same game. I'll play that Cuckoo game I kept trying to do. Could try to play Maple Story. No, I mean that's also an MMO. I don't really want to get into MMOs. They're way too fucking time and like they're too big of a time investment. I don't want it. Like even if I end up liking it, that's the bad part. If I just hate it, it's sure whatever. I move on. But if I end up liking it, I will just get addicted to that type of shit. That's also why WoW is bad for me in the long run because I just get too addicted. It's just endless. There's always something to do, and I never stop playing. Fuck that. I don't want to get into that anymore. I know I'll get back to WoW eventually anyway. Like, more than likely. All I did was make my queue time longer for ranked, yeah. Software resets will do that, that's for sure. Now every other game is lost because of lack of teammates who want to fight for the new objective. Yeah, and it's not even worth fighting for it. It's not that big of a deal. You can just ignore it completely and do something else. Because while they're sitting in mid, collecting rocks or crystals, you can literally just get more gold than them. It's really not that big of a deal. Not to mention XP. They give a little bit of golden XP, but it's not really like enough, I think, to turn the tide in any way. It's cool and all if you aren't the mid laner, sure, that is true. If you're in the mid laner, it's kind of in your face. Yeah, I can see that being really annoying. Oh, Echrome is back in solo, I'm guessing, so I'm just gonna have to deal with the Jingwei. Good thing I picked Kukulkan then. We'll both be scaling. I wouldn't mind if the new objective maybe took the spot of something else, like maybe the imps. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of the imps at the moment, I think. I think they're too impactful in that they give you a permanent buff. Maybe the night spot should be around fire, and then once the fire giant spawns, the night goes away. Or, I don't know, maybe there is even more stuff in the fire giant pit. Maybe the fire giant will just be affected by that in some way. I don't fucking know. Maybe there's like a night version of the fire giant that will change when it's night. I don't fucking, whatever. But I do think it's weird putting it in mid. It does feel weird to have a lane just completely interrupted by that. Right, so I feel like I need beats just because of Thor, but I don't really like that. I would like to have Aegis this game. But I don't want to just get landed on by Thor and CC to death at any point in the game, so I think I just have to go beats. I was woke up about not putting it in mid. No one cared. I mean, I think right now they don't care in that they would just want to see how it functions, and they'll take feedback. I mean, it seems so far that it's pretty widespread that people don't like this new thing. I'm just impartial, but it seems the majority of people don't like it. Yeah. Installing Windows updates on 6 PCs. Why are you doing that? Is it your job, or do you have 6 PCs in your home? Play a horror game, be afraid on stream with webcam on? I definitely don't want to do that. I hate horror games. And I don't need the money for views, so I have no reason to really do it.
No.
Hi.
Oh, hello there.
I might get level 3 ganked in this one, but I'm not as afraid because I'm against the Jingwei. So, hopefully it's fine this time. And I think I'm playing a safer character. As long as I don't just nado for free, I should be okay. Yes, the new 2D ninja and like shinobi type games have interested me. I just haven't gotten around to them yet. I haven't been in the mood for that type of game. Because I spent so much time playing Silksong that I wasn't really into... I'm not the biggest like 2D guy, but I'm very much into Silksong and Hollow Knight. So I guess I just wanted a break from that type of genre. Or that visual style in 2D. Because it generally isn't for me. You're looking for single-player fantasy? Kind of. It is definitely what I feel like I'm in the mood for the most. But I don't just want to play anything, you know? I want to actually play something that's good. Yeah, I finished Hades 2. I played this as long as I possibly could. I even tried to get like all the... I don't know what you call it, like social links or whatever. All the social interactions. didn't get far enough to fully do that, but oops. Didn't mean to press that.
Some other time.
That's so tragic. We just don't really have our jungler here to do that.
Your left tower is under attack. The rain shall wash them away.
Okay, you have my apologies.
No problem.
That's so weird. What the fuck?
Your left tower is under attack.
A ghost just joined my blue buff. I'm now a level behind. Fuck me, dude. Who even did that, actually? Had to have been Thor. I can actually finish it. I'll back. Yeah, I mean, my main issue with Kingdom Come is that I don't like first-person games very much. There are exceptions, for sure, but I'm not the biggest fan of them.
On my way.
Enemy has been slain.
On my way.
The rain shall wash them away. Hasta la vista, amigo. Be right back. Your middle tower is under attack.
But I played the first one, and I did like it. I never fully got invested into it, but I liked it.
Ward here.
Yeah, right now this matchup is a bit rough, because he has just a permanent damage output, where I'm just ability based. I'll get to a point where at least at 1 high poly I can fight back a little bit. How does he have 2 levels on me though? That's the thing I don't get. I'm so fucked, actually. Just grab a small one. It might be at the expense of his jungler. It's either that, or it's just always getting the gold camp and the imps.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemies in the left jungle. Okay.
Enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing left.
Your left tower is under attack. Rain shall wash them away. Be right back.
They can't escape us now. Delicious kill.
Your left tower is under attack.
Down.
That sucks. That's the thing. Like, take any poke, I win the trade so hard there. Any other character I can probably punish, but he's gonna fly back, and that's it.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
Serpent swiftness.
Fucking hell. Wasn't expecting Thor. I don't usually go Chronos Pendant on Tsuku, but I want to try it. And I think it could be really nice into Jing Wei here, so I have more fight back potential. My damage should be good enough.
Enemy missing left.
Ally has been slain. Attack. Enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack.
Capri's back. I don't want to look for the kill.
Nowhere is
He definitely could be taking back camps and stuff. He definitely could. The thing is, he's Jingwei though. I wouldn't expect him to, because then he can't fly back. Man, that's so fucked up. Okay, I still got him. Great. Thank God. For a second, I really thought I fucked up there. Oh, well, I did. I shouldn't have been in that bad of a position. But then he also fucked up. He completely missed his ult.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Who did this, bro? Thor was on this side of the jungle, I guess, and went and did my fucking blue buff. Why wouldn't he? Fucking hell. At least I do enough damage now that I can actually farm faster.
Attack! Right lane!
Unfortunate. The rain shall wash them away. On my way.
Did not mean to dash, bro. He's 1 HP and left again. Dude, the fucking lifesteal builds. Oh my god. It's such a difference in this. That fucking lifesteal build saved his ass. Jing ult. Man, I'm so mad about that. I did not mean to dash. Brother. I don't know why I pressed my 2. Whatever. If only had Divine Ruin. Yeah, that would be great, huh? Best anti-heal item in the game, right there.
Attack Fire Giant! On my way. Attack the Gold Fury! Attack Fire Giant!
Your left tower is under attack.
down. Ultimate is down.
Your right tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed the fire giant. Your right tower has been destroyed.
his heal. I'm gonna push with a Naga.
Destroy the left enemy tower.
I'll attack left lane. Attack middle lane. I'll attack right lane. Right lane.
Middle enemy tower. The rain shall wash them away. Enemy has been slain. Middle enemy phoenix. Keep going. Your team has rain shall wash them away.
Alright. I'll end it here. I'm satisfied with today. Almost been going for 4 hours, and I'm hungry. So, appreciate you guys stopping by, as always. And yeah. Defeat the Chrome. We got one solo kill on each other. We almost... Actually, wait, no, what happened? Did I solo kill him once by myself? I don't think I did. I think we traded 1 for 1 at one point, and then he killed me once, where I almost got him too. So he actually won over me. Unfortunate. How could I live with myself now? You gonna live tomorrow? What day is it tomorrow? Friday, right? Dude, the asset aspect is coming out. I don't know if I want to play tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like I should, just to get a taste of what... I mean, she's gonna be banned anyway. I don't think it changes anything, actually, but whatever. We will see. There's no plans for it, but we'll see. I might do a shorter one. Play tomorrow, get VIP. Maybe none of them. She broke now. She's just annoying. She's like, a set has so much CC in her kit, and you only have 1 relic. And sometimes that isn't beats. So she's so much fucking CC. She's so hard to deal with. Broken? I'm not sure, but also kind of. Not to mention her ultimate for objective secure is also insane. So, in the right hands, yes, probably very broken. But yeah, thanks guys. Bye.